What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of The Drop presented by Discover. Greg Wyshynski, Arda, Ocal, and I should say another season of The Drop.
I know.
Year 5. Here we are.
They've never found the studio we use. That we're just able to kind of sneak in and do it like a pirate radio station, kind of Christian Slater, pump up the volume level for the three people that get the reference.
Yeah.
It's exactly how
And
it
you're
works
one
on
of
The
them,
Drop.
so it's two people out
yeah.
there. But we're back for another season. We couldn't be more thrilled. Expect some fantastic episodes all throughout the NHL season, including this preview. By the way, we're in the studio. You can see we made some improvements. Look at this.
This is a digital board ad.
boards?
Digital
Come
board
on.
ad. This usually is a local dentist office, but on your screen, it's been replaced by The Drop.
Call the dentist offices of Isaac Yankum, DDS.
Oh no! Wrestling
Not
references a minute into the show.
We have a great show for you here. Our own Emily Kaplan was at Media Tour. She had a chance to sit down with Patrick Kane. That's coming up later in the show. We spoke with Spencer Carbery, head coach of the Washington Capitals. That is a terrific conversation. He's one of my favorite coaches to talk to in the league.
He's very cerebral. I like a coach that can think. And as we found out in talking to him, like a guy who also loves to dive into the business world to get tips from leaders there. And it was really good to get his thoughts on ye old Capitals as well.
But as you know, if you've been watching the show for the last 5 years, the way we love to start the show is winners and losers presented by Discover. And we're going to do a little bit of a different twist. We haven't gotten to the start of the NHL season quite yet.
Nope.
So why don't we do winners and losers of, let's say, the offseason? And I'll start with the winner. I think it's a pretty easy one. Anze Kopitar. He's going to have a farewell tour for the entire season. He's going to retire at the end of the season. And well-deserved, because I would venture to say, Wish, and obviously you've been covering the league for a very long time, he's one of those, we know he's very good.
Yeah.
We know he's elite, but when we talk about those elite players, he kind of becomes the underappreciated player.
And I wonder if that's because of Bergeron. I always wondered that because, Patrice Bergeron became the multi-Selke guy. Kopitar won 2. He won a couple of Bings. He won a couple of Cups. 1,278 points in 1,454 games. He's a Hall of Famer, the best Slovenian hockey player I've ever seen.
Yes.
But it's going to be a great chance for us to take a season to celebrate his greatness. And I found it interesting that he decided to announce his retirement before the season. One, it was interesting because in true hockey tradition, he announces on the same day that Clayton Kershaw announces. So literally no one talks about Anze Kopitar's retirement, unfortunately. But I also found it to be interesting that he announced his retirement on the same day that Alex Ovechkin kicked it down the road. He did not make a decision about this being his final season. And it's going to be interesting to see, how Kopitar is celebrated throughout the league, and obviously Ovechkin kind of allowing the season to play out before making a decision instead of taking over another season for the Capitals and making it all about Ovi.
Yeah, I will give a shout out to the Dodgers, particularly the social media account, because they were among the first to put that Sports Illustrated cover to post it on social with Kershaw and Kopitar.
Yeah.
So they brought it together like LA Sports
It's the
kind of thing.
least they could do after the Kings had a press conference, for God's sakes, and Kershaw's like, I better get this out there while I can. It's the least they could do.
Give us a loser.
Loser, the Florida Panthers' health. Oh my God. We were on the cusp of a dynasty, people. And then you have Matthew Tkachuk out for the first few months of the season. Hopefully he's going to be back in December. Then obviously the incredibly frustrating news to see Alexander Barkov go down in practice. His first practice of the preseason, man, with a ACL and MCL injury. Now, we don't know with any certainty right now whether he's going to be done for the entirety of the year, which obviously impacts what the Panthers can do with their cap. But a huge blow to this team that, again, looked primed to make a 4th consecutive trip to the Stanley Cup final, potentially a 3rd straight Stanley Cup championship, which we haven't seen since the Islanders' 1980s dynasty, to lose their captain. And for my money, the reason they've won back-to-back cups, Barkov, even if his numbers aren't blowing you away, he does everything you need in the playoffs, was just a huge bummer.
If he does return for the postseason, they make it work with the cap. I'm just talking personnel here, okay? Matthew Tkachuk and Sasha Barkov return. I think that team without those two players still make the playoffs.
I think so too.
And I think that it's because we always have this conversation. It's year 3. They 3 straight finals. Oh, the tired factor, the extra 25 games in the season, all that talk. But now you have a refreshed 2 players.
You do.
So I wonder if that's going to change the narrative a little bit.
Everyone else is dead tired, but they're all right.
They're all fine.
No, and I think that they can like you mentioned, they can probably survive it. I mean, Anton Lundell has been called Baby Barkov for years for a reason, which is he's a guy on another team would probably be a 1 or 2 in the center position, and now he'll get to move up the lineup most likely. They should be able to survive. The real question, though, Arda, as you mentioned, is whether or not they're going to take the salary cap space that opens up with Barkov being on long-term injured reserve, which is $10 million against the cap. Are they going to use that? And if they use it, that means he's done for the entirety of the season. But if they decide that he can maybe come back for the playoffs, and they can go maybe I think it's $3 million or something along those lines above the cap. So we'll see what they end up doing.
Yeah. A winner for me, the final goodbye in Pittsburgh for Marc-Andre Fleury.
Oh, yeah.
It was a moment. Now, in recent years, I have loved the tradition when Anze Kopitar is going to get this treatment this year.
Yeah.
When he plays a team for the last time, there's going to be a handshake line. Even if it's in, let's say, November and they're playing an Eastern Conference team and that's the last time they're going to see them, he's going to get a handshake line. And I love that tradition. I think it should remain in the NHL. Like the goodbye, you're retiring, let's show our respect on the ice. Equally, I hope that Marc-Andre Fleury has started, and the Pittsburgh Penguins organization has started a tradition where a longtime player that either went away or even is retiring gets one final preseason game. And I know that their number of preseason games is diminishing. I get it. But I loved it. It was a moment. It created a great vibe. And hockey fans loved it across the league, not just Penguins fans. So give me more of that.
I would love to see it. And also pranks. He also pulled pranks.
A lot of pranks.
And we do love that.
On reporters.
We do love that.
Dan Potash.
Yeah, awesome.
Poor guy's notes are everywhere.
Loser for me, unfortunately, is this Franken-Jersey that we saw at Fleury's last game. A patchwork jersey representing the teams he played for. Again, maybe you like this. It's definitely a jersey foul. My problem with it is, Arda, we simply must respect the legacy of Fleury's time with the Chicago Blackhawks, don't we? Come on.
Well, he technically played there.
But who cares?
So you're saying let's just forget about the Blackhawks?
I'm just saying we're a Penguins Fleury jersey.
That's it.
He's basically retiring as a Penguin. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, totality of his career. Okay, fair enough. Why don't you round this out since you're the jersey foul aficionado?
All right, we saw some new threads come out before the season. The winners for me are the Seattle Kraken's new black jerseys that glow in the dark, Arda.
Beautiful.
Very cool,
Beautiful.
very cool. They should go with black jerseys to begin with. They look awesome. So those are dope. And then the Capitals Eagle jerseys, they're bringing back the Screaming Eagle. They're putting it on a jersey. I think this jersey will probably end up being their new duds or new threads at some point in the near future. And then loser for me, look, the New York Rangers throwbacks looks like a beer league team that ran out of money back in the 1950s. And then the Hurricanes jerseys, they added black to the logo. Doesn't change the fact the logo stinks. Looks like a swirly toilet bowl. And now you have put black highlights into the swirly toilet bowl to accentuate that it looks like a toilet bowl.
Okay, so it's not number 1 or number 2 for you, the Hurricanes jersey.
It's clearly not.
The Rangers color, though, I love that shade of blue.
Sure.
What don't you like about it?
I just think it is a lesser version of the jersey they're wearing. It's the same thing as the Team USA jerseys where they would have one that looked great and then they'd have like the old-timey one that looked like it's just beat up and moth-riddled. And, the Rangers jersey does nothing to me.
Fair enough. Speaking of former Rangers and Team USA, Patrick Kane running it back, got a 1-year deal in the offseason with the Detroit Red Wings, looking to break that playoff drought make it to the postseason for the first time since 2016. As we mentioned at the top of the show, our Emily Kaplan had a chance to sit down with Showtime.
So you've won nearly everything there is to win as an NHL player. Cups, individual accolades, playoff accolades. What still motivates you?
I think just love of the game, to be honest with you. Obviously there's so many great players in our league that are pushing the bar that make you, want to get better and push yourself. But for me, I just, I still love it. I still love being on the ice. I love, making a play or scoring a goal and, having that feeling of adrenaline. Being able to celebrate with your teammates, celebrate with the fans. all that stuff is it's just things you can't really pass up and can't even really describe how you feel in the moment. Obviously I have a 4.5-year-old son now. He loves watching, loves going to the games and being a part of it as well. So there's definitely some motivation to play for him too.
How long would you like to play?
I hit my 1,300th game last year. I think the goal would probably be to get to 1,500. Whether I play more or less, we'll see. After that, if I still feel good and still love it, I think would definitely enjoy the opportunity to keep playing. But we'll see how it goes. I mean, I guess that would put me at 3 more years, but it's not like I'm counting the years or have a specific date or numbers in mind. It's just kind of what I'm hoping to get to, and we'll see after that.
How close to peak Patrick Kane do you feel right now?
I think the last, I would say, compared to the last 4 or 5 years, I probably feel as good as I have. Obviously I was dealing with a lot of hip problems before that and some pain I was dealing with, and then having the surgery and coming back and getting used to it the last couple of years. I feel like I'm kind of over that now, so I feel like I'm in a good spot going into the year here. I love the organization. Teammates are incredible. It's really been a great spot for me to kind of revive my career. A lot of positives to say about Steve Yzerman and Todd McClellan, the coach there. Really helping me get the most out of my game, that organization. So it's been awesome. I've really enjoyed my time.
Thanks to Emily Kaplan and Patrick Kane for sitting down with us here on the NHL on ESPN. Exciting, by the way, the Stanley Cup is back with ESPN this season, so we look forward to bringing you that championship later this year. So whether or not the Detroit Red Wings will even make the postseason, that's going to be one of the questions that hockey fans are asking. But we would like to give to you here on the drop right now a who can win the Stanley Cup power rankings. We love a good power ranking here on the drop.
We do. Let's start with number 5, the Dallas Stars. Now, the Dallas Stars are right in kind of that mix with the Colorado Avalanche around this area in the ranking. I think you have to give the benefit of the doubt to the Stars at this point. They're a deeper team. Granted, new head coach in Glenn Gulletson. We'll see what happens post-Pete DeBoer. But they have a stacked lineup that's been a conference bridesmaid for a few seasons running, and now we'll have a full season of Mikko Rantanen as well. So we'll put them at 5. Okay. Number 4, your dynastic Florida Panthers, who still obviously belong in this list quite highly, despite having all those injury concerns in the preseason with Tkachuk being out for a few months and Barkov potentially being out for the full season. Again, you cannot ignore the fact that when this team gets into the playoffs, Arda, they just know how to win. So they're number 4 on the list. Number 3 on this list is the team that certainly knows that the Panthers know how to win in the postseason. That'd be the Edmonton Oilers. But listen, we don't know what's going to be McDavid's future long-term with this franchise, but we do know he's going to be here this season, Arda. And that's important because the Oilers have made back-to-back Cup finals. They run it back with essentially the same team, minus Corey Perry, which might be a problem, actually. And the bigger problem is with the same goaltending. But as McDavid and Draisaitl have proven, they can drag all manner and sort of this team into the playoffs and then advance them through the Western Conference. We'll see what happens, but I think the Oilers at this point have to be considered number 3 as far as the potential Cup contenders. Number 2, well, there is somebody in the West I like better than the Oilers right now, Arda, and that'd be the Vegas Golden Knights. Yeah. Now, the Vegas Golden Knights suffered a significant loss in the offseason. That'd be Alex Pietrangelo, who may never play again, even though he believes he might be able to come back this season with a hip injury. That's a huge hole on their blue line, but it's going to be a blue line that still has Shea Theodore and Noah Hannafin and others to try to fill in the gaps. What they added, though, was a guy named Mitch Marner. And everyone we talk to, Arda, says the same thing, which is that Mitch Marner will thrive in the desert. Get him away from the pressure cooker of Toronto, and he'll be able to find his game and actually even perform in the postseason, playing along the side of the likes of Jack Eichel. Listen, this is a very, very good hockey team. They know how to play defense. They know how to play playoff hockey. They're going to get good goaltending. I think they're the class of the Pacific Division. And right now, I think they are number 2 on our list of
not number 1
Cup winners. No, number 1 is plucky little team that's been bubbling under the surface for several seasons. Rod Brindamore's boys and the Carolina Hurricanes got to be number 1 on this list, Arda. They added Keandre Miller from the Rangers to a blue line that was already pretty stout. They added Nick Ehlers to potentially be the solution on wing on that top line that they've been looking for forever. If nothing else, will bring incredible speed to this team. They've got a good collection of younger players in the lineup that are maturing. They still have a bit of a problem at number 2 center. They're going to try to see if Logan Stankoven can maybe be that guy. And the goaltending is what it is. I just think that if you have a diminished Florida Panthers team, if you have a Toronto team going through the post-Marner transition, nobody in the Metro really scares you too much if you're Carolina. If you've already taken care of the Devils, for example, in the playoffs. I think that the Hurricanes right now, given that they're coming out of the East, should be considered number 1 on the potential Cup champions list. But what say you? Who would be number 1 on your list, sir?
Vegas would be number 1 on my list.
Tell me why.
I like your. Everything about them screams championship material. And I going back to the Marner thing, like Marner and Eichel could be as good or even better than Marner and Matthews. I really feel like that's going to be a fantastic. They could be the best line in the NHL. Barbashev or whoever else is on that line, like that could be the top line in the NHL by far.
And they've been compiling players. I mean, Hurdle's there.
Yeah, look at their center depth. Look at the
William Karlsson. Yeah,
William Karlsson, Jack Eichel, Tomas Hurdle, Colton Sissons.
Yeah,
that is a fantastic center depth for the Golden Knights.
And they know how to win.
They know how to win.
And they got a great home ice advantage. And if there's any holes in that lineup, they'll probably find a way to fill them. Mark Stone's still there. At least what's left of Mark Stone's still there. Yeah.
And by the way, like I know you talked about Pietrangelo and their defense and everything. Yeah. They finished with the 3rd fewest goals allowed last season. Like their offense got better. Their defense is solid. Yeah. Their goaltending is proven. Like, say what you want about Adin Hill, he won a Stanley Cup.
True.
So
I mean, listen. The only thing they don't have going for them is that they changed the long-term injured reserve rules. So
we'll see what happens there. Exactly.
We'll see how they fill those holes.
Now, speaking of Mitch Marner, someone that had effusive praise for Mitch Marner was Spencer Carbery, his former assistant coach, and essentially even said when we spoke with him, he's one of the big reasons why I got a head coaching job in the NHL in the first place.
Yeah, deserves a finder's fee.
Yes, right, exactly. It was a steak dinner or a steakhouse or something to that effect. Anyhow, here is a great conversation that we were able to have with the head coach of the Washington Capitals, Spencer Carbery. Happy to have joining us here on The Drop on ESPN, Spencer Carbery, head coach of the Washington Capitals. Spencer, let me start here. Fun video to see on social media. You recently went to Commanders practice, and I love seeing head coaches at the top of their game interacting with each other, and I love hearing what those conversations are like. Like, what was that day like for you talking with Dan Quinn and the coaching staff, and what were your big takeaways?
What it is, number one is just going there as sort of a local fan and someone that's supporting the local teams, whether it's the Commanders, the Nationals, the Wizards. And the second part of it is you learn so much and it's like this back and forth of like picking each other's brains on preparation to player development to transactions to how you conduct meetings, slogans, like you name it. We ask each other, and I just find it's you can always pick up whenever you talk to coaches in different sports and in different arenas in life, even in business, like you can pick up little tidbits that I walk away from those interactions being like, that's a really good idea, or that's interesting. I wonder if we try to incorporate that into an NHL team, if that would work as well. And so that's why I always love doing that. I'm a huge fan of like watching all of the stuff, whether it's all or nothings like on Manchester City and soccer. And so, yeah, I have a lot of time for learning about different sports and how things are done in those arenas.
Do you pick up a lot of books written by coaches too, or no?
I do. I'm more of a business book.
Oh, all right.
Person.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are some of your favorite ones?
So I've been reading a lot of Ryan Holiday, and I know it's not necessarily strictly like business and how he correlates it. It's more on like leadership, and I read a lot of his stuff, and he sent me actually
kind of thing?
Obstacle is a Way is a great read if you haven't read that.
I mean, you're like a CEO. I mean, you're like, you're managing a whole situation there. It makes sense. It makes sense you consider it on the business side. Let me ask you about the big man. So you went through all of last season coaching through an unprecedented thing, which was the Alex Ovechkin goal scoring record chasing Gretzky's record that he finally broke. You and I saw each other at Capitals camp a couple weeks ago. Ovi said nothing official yet regarding his status beyond this season. Was it a relief to you, A, obviously that he's he's playing out the string this year, but B, also that you don't have another massive, everybody's watching every game and the media triples and there's all this attention on your team because it's Ovi's retirement year?
Yeah, definitely. No doubt. If that was the case, it would bring an element of exactly what you just described in every building, especially when you go and play the Western teams where it'd be the last time, definitively that he ever goes into those arenas. No doubt. I can't deny that. And so, we just don't know what the future holds. If he's left it open, and certainly as an organization, as a coach, you're like, heck yeah, let as many more years as you possibly can play. But we respect Alex so much and what he's done in this organization. So when the time comes to make a decision on his future, he will. And I bet too, a lot of it will have to do with how the year goes and at his age. And he's just coming back from an injury right now in training camp. So hopefully he gets up and running. He skated today. So I think that's kind of the way that he's, from my conversations with him, is he wants to see how the year goes, how he feels physically, mentally, going through the grind and see where he's at.
How often would you check in on that with him, or how much would that even come up throughout the? I mean, it'll be important to us because he's Alex Ovechkin, one of the faces of the league from the media side, but from your side as the head coach, how much would you even have those kinds of conversations with him?
I'll talk to him. It won't be, hey, do you feel like feel good enough to play next year? But it'll be like almost daily. How are you feeling? How are you feeling physically, mentally? Where are you at? Because I have a lot of conversations with him almost daily when we're here, as long as it's not an off day. And sometimes on off days, we'll have some of our most productive conversations over the phone because you have a little bit more time on those days. But part of it is about him, but the other part is he's our captain. So he's got his finger on the pulse of our team. So I'm always checking in with him to see how things are going with the entire group and get his sense of what we need as a group. What can I do? What can the coaches do? So yeah, those are daily conversations and making sure I'm checking in on how he's feeling individually as well.
The Capitals are kind of the envy of the league in the sense that you have been able to rebuild on the fly or retool on the fly with Ovi still here. I mean, there are obviously reasons for that, including LTIR and things like that. But more than anything else, no matter if it's the kids who come up from Hershey or the players that you import from elsewhere like Chychrun and Dubois, it just seems like everybody kind of fits the template. Where does that come from?
I think that one is a combination too. I think I would point to, first and foremost, our leadership group, and Alex, John Carlson, Tom Wilson, and even I would go back to TJ Oshie and Nick Backstrom recently have both moved on, but they've laid a foundation here. And so it's kind of carried on of when new people come into our team, and it was great when I came here. I'm like, yes, this is exactly how I would do it as well as a coach and a player. So this meshes perfectly. Is we do everything we possibly can, the players, the leadership group, and then myself and our staff, to make a player feel as comfortable as possible and as quickly as we can, and then make the expectations as clear and laid out as possible. And that's through communication, and that's through myself building a relationship and the players building a relationship with new guys, whether it's a young player, whether we've acquired a player in a trade. And that's, I think, what we take a lot of pride in, because we know, and I know, if Joe Smith comes to the Washington Capitals and feels completely comfortable and knows exactly what's expected of him and what he has to do on the ice, we're going to get the best Joe Smith we possibly can get. And that's how we approach each individual player. And like I said, I think it's the players do, and our leadership group does an amazing job of that. And then we try to replicate that as coaches as well.
For your own purposes, what percentage is eye test, what percentage is data for you at this point in your coaching career?
Great question. Great question. I'm going to say 75-25. 75 eyeball,
Yeah.
25
Oh,
number.
wow. Okay.
Yeah. And I'll say this, like usually more times than not, it matches up. When it doesn't, and you're like, and they send you a number that you're like, whoa. And that, like I did not think we were so bad in that underlying number or that measurement. And then you go back and you start to watch it and you go, oh, okay. Like usually, the numbers are right. Shocker. It's not, they don't lie to you. And that's really helpful because us as coaches, like sometimes you can get like this, you get the tunnel vision and your staff gets tunnel vision and you think of a player or a certain thing that you guys do is like, nope, it's good. It's good. This is how we've always done it. And then someone brings you an analytical number and you go like, you start to look at it and you go, oh, okay. Yeah, I see what they're talking about.
Yeah, 75-25 is an interesting breakdown. So usually what's happening is you're seeing something and then you're asking for numbers to corroborate what you're noticing.
Yes, or you're getting there. Usually, what our analytics team will tell us, like, hey, you're doing this really well, or you're doing this poorly, and you'll look at it and you go, yep, that makes sense. I would agree with that. But there'll be some that you go, geez, I thought we were really good at that, and we're not. Like, for instance, we give up, the third most odd man rushes in the NHL. And your eyeball should tell you that. Like if you feel like in a game you're watching, you're like, geez, we've given up a lot of odd man rushes usually, but sometimes you'd be like, I don't feel that way. The third most odd man rushes. Okay, what are we doing wrong? And then you start to dive into it and you go, geez, see why they're saying that.
It tracks. Yeah.
We're putting the welcome mat down.
Yes.
Allowing it to happen, right?
And then it's on us as coaches to not be stubborn and like we got to fix this. Like they're not just telling us and not go, nope, I'm set my ways. We do what we do. Leave us alone because now you're going to fall short if you're trying to get better in a bunch of different areas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we could separate a whole hour to talk about this. I think
honestly,
like nerd out about this at some point. That'll be for another day. I do have one last question for you, Spencer. So recently, preseason game in Hershey. What was that like for you?
Unbelievable. My family and I spent 5 years there, 3 coaching, but the 2 years I was in Toronto during the COVID years, my family was back in Hershey and would just travel up to Toronto every month to visit. And it's a special place. If you've ever been to Hershey, Pennsylvania, it's just a small town that has a big league team, the Hershey Bears. They get 10,000 fans a night. It's almost always sold out. The fan base is amazing. And for the AHL level, I think, it's hard to argue with that place as being the best place to play or coach in the American Hockey League. And so we were very fortunate, 3 great years there as a coach, and to be able to go back there now as an NHL head coach and stand on that same bench and then share it with, 10 guys that played there that I coached in Hershey. Yeah, it was a pretty special night.
Did you ever participate in a bear growl celebration?
No, but that came in after. They started that. I always loved that. They would get that. And Mikey, so Connor McMichael played there. I coached him in Hershey. Played a couple years there. He said on the bus when we were busting into the game, he told the boys, he's like, all right, if I score tonight, I'm going to give the bear growl. And sure enough, him and Protoss had a 2-on-0 shorthanded, and he didn't pass it. He shot it and scored. And he went by the bench and gave the bear. It was good. Yeah.
How tempted were you to jump in the teddy bears?
Oh my, that was a whole story in itself. Like we'd have to it would take an hour to get, the guys are cold. They're coming out pulling groins because they got to do a whole new warm up. It was like, oh my gosh. Yeah. Those were next level teddy bear tosses.
It's awesome. Last one for me. I wanted to ask you about someone you used to coach. You managed to climb over the wall and escape Toronto. Mitch Marner has now done the same. You coached Mitch for a couple of years in Toronto. Wanted to get your take on what you think, how he'll fare in Vegas.
I think he'll be fantastic.
Yeah.
I think I really do. I understand Toronto. I understand the pressure and the expectations, and when it's always, Stanley Cup or bust, it's hard. And so I think, Mitch, he took a lot of that over the years, and fans and opinion totally up to, you can never get upset with that. I never get upset with, people that are like, oh, they shouldn't treat him that way. It's like fans are entitled to their opinion, and what they see and how they come to their conclusions is up to them. And so Mitch got a lot of the brunt of that, but man, he is a generational player. Like, he is so good, so talented. And the 2 years that I spent, like, I owe a lot. And I told him this after getting the job in Washington, like, I owe a lot to him as to why I'm an NHL head coach, or the things that he did on the power play when I was there, and we finished first in the league when I was coaching that power play. Like, he did some things that you just can't coach, you can't teach. It's his individual talent. And I think he's going to do great. He's one of the best players in the league. His skill set and his sense and how he sees the game, just a true talent.
And when you told him that, he obviously said steak dinner's on you now that you got the job, right?
Except I texted him, now it's reversed now that you're down in Vegas and you signed that deal.
Oh, hell. Now it's buy me a steakhouse, Mitch.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Especially with no state tax. I mean, now it's free to win.
Perfect. Spencer Carbery, the head coach of the Washington Capitals. Hey, this was terrific. Hope you can come back on sometime soon, but continued success and have a great season.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me anytime.
Thanks again to Spencer Carbery for joining us here on The Drop. Before we go, we are going to introduce a brand new ongoing segment here on The Drop. There are a lot of great storylines to latch onto in the world of hockey this season.
Oh, yeah.
But I would argue none more important than the rivalry between Canada and the United States. The Olympics right around the corner. Patriotism on the ice.
Yes.
All-time high.
Yes.
We saw it at Four Nations. It will continue this year. And I will argue that there is no better show in the entire galaxy, universe, far, far away, that is more suited to keep the rivalry alive, USA, Canada, than right here, The Drop. And in honor of that,
yes,
Mr. Wyshynski, I have decided that we will constantly battle on this show leading up to the Olympics, where we will see Canada and the United States battle it out.
Maybe.
Probably. For this. Right here.
Whoa, look at this. My God.
The North American Hockey Championship title.
Is this sanctioned?
This is a sanctioned championship that we have created specifically for this show that will be fought for between the Canadian representative here and the American representative there.
Yes.
And since Canada was able to win at Four Nations, this championship for now is right here above my shoulder.
You have the belt because Quinn Hughes didn't play in a championship game. That is the only reason you have the belt. But I'll concede it. Like, the Canadians did win on a really, I guess, what was probably a really lucky bounce by McDavid. But you currently hold the belt. So the question is, Arda, how do I get this belt?
Oh, this will be defended multiple times on every show. And we're going to save that for next episode, because we will also have an episode of The Drop on opening night.
Yes.
A triple header on ESPN. And you can look forward to another edition of The Drop. Greg Wyshynski, Arda Ocal. The Drop is presented by Discover. Get away from here. Unless you want to belt. Bam. Right to the forehead.